The consequence to telling me to get fucked is, well, good luck with our working relationship. And why am I supposed to be working when Kev's not? And again, anyone out there who's entitled, if your boss comes to you and asks you to do something and you really value your job and your paycheck, you better not tell him or her to get fucked. You need to be very humble in this.
I don't know. The one that I wanted to say was a boundary is a spotlight. A boundary literally highlights somebody's truth. So if I set a boundary with Alan and then Alan is a dick to me, it's like, wait, is that your true, that's your true colors? That's who you are when you don't get your way with me? Next Level Nation, welcome back to another episode of Next Level University, where we help you level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. Today, for episode number 1984, the trouble with boundaries. So we actually tried to record this earlier. Very rare that this happens, but Alan's Wi-Fi was so bad that we were like, let's just do it later because we're going to have to piece it all together. And honestly, I can't hear what you're saying, so this is going to be a whole thing. So it's always weird when we do an episode kind of for the second time because I don't know if what I'm saying is for the first time in this episode or the second. It's a whole thing. But things have actually kind of changed since we planned on doing the episode. So there is...
I'm kidding.
I had a small mental breakdown there.
If you were on YouTube, just watch Kevin's face for that. Go back.
I think I was slightly enraged too. a bit of both. So there was a situation where we had to set a boundary, and I took leadership on setting this boundary. And I now think of it, and this is what we talked about in the previous episode, so I'll touch on it. I used to have a job that I fucking hated. I was literally having suicidal ideations. That's how much this job was taking out of me. That's how much it was impacting my life. When I left the job, I had a little piece of me that after I left said, I kind of miss it. Did I make the right decision? Did I make a mistake?
Any chance you're willing to tell the story where you didn't honor a boundary? You walk out to the car. I'm out of here.
Oh, I don't know if we have time. I don't want to waste
time.
I don't want to waste.
It's the perfect boundary story.
You can't laugh. If you laugh, I'm turning it off. You lock it up.
You can't tell me what to do. It's a boundary for me. I might laugh because it's straight out of a sitcom, man.
So, I don't. I've told it so many times. I'll save it for the end.
Okay.
I'll save it for the end. If you stick around to the end of this episode, maybe I'll tell the story. But I don't want to waste anybody's time. I want to make sure this episode's valuable. And I've told the story before. That is another example, though, relationships. How many times have you been in a relationship that you know wasn't serving its purpose? It needs to end. Something happens, the relationship ends, and then you just for some reason only play the highlights of the relationship in your head, and you say, oh no, did I make a giant mistake? I think boundaries are very similar. So I had the opportunity to set a boundary for something within the business. I started the process of setting the boundary. Then I had the opportunity to complete the boundary, and there was a piece of me that was like, no, I don't know. I don't really want to.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not that bad. I don't want to hurt this person. Like, I don't want this to be something that this person then takes with them for the rest of their lives.
Let's go deeper. What were you really afraid of? You're afraid. I will speak for myself. I was afraid of character assassination.
That was a piece of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Villainization. I was afraid this person was going to villainize me.
Yeah, and then poison people against us. It sucks, man.
I was afraid of that because that has happened in the past.
For sure.
To a pretty drastic degree, unfortunately. I ended up going through with it, and I found myself just like checking my messages over and over for like 5 to 10 minutes after. I'll be very honest. Because I was like, did they say something? Did they say something? Did they say something? Did they say? And then after 10 minutes, it was like, all right, cool. On to the next thing. I'm good. But there's like a grace period where when you do it, you want to take it back. After I sent a very vulnerable and direct audio message, and I wanted to unsend it after I said it. I was like, I probably can that. Probably take that back and pretend it never happened. So I think that's why boundaries are so hard, because one, you have the moment of, is it really that bad though? I mean, is it really that bad? Is it really worth making a stink about? Should I really lean into this? What if the person doesn't like me? What if they don't like me more now that I set the boundary? Honestly, I think boundaries are one of those things that just kind of suck, and that's why they're so hard to do. Just like dieting, just like getting up early if that's something you struggle with. There are certain things that suck that might be requirements for where we want to go.
Emilia and I went on a walk this past Sunday into the woods. We have quarries near our house that are awesome. And we were talking about positive and negative. And I was thinking about how do you, every single thing in life, everything, every person, place, thing, or idea, everything, all of it, has a positive and a negative. Has a top of the iceberg, has a below the iceberg, has a positive, the North Pole and the South Pole, the yin and the yang, the up and the down. And I was thinking to myself, there was a person we were talking about in this walk and how sweet she was being. And I said to her, it's so hard for me to reconcile how sweet that is and how wonderful that is about that person. But there's some things about that person that are really quite fucking terrible. And I don't know how to reconcile that. She said that's the trouble with emotions. It's so hard to feel multiple emotions simultaneously. Okay, working with me, working with Kevin. There's huge pros and there's some cons. There's a lot of positive and there's some negatives. Every client, there's a lot of positives and there's some negatives. And so I think life comes down to learning who you are and learning what the positives and negatives are for you. So for Kevin and I, we're 35 and 36, respectively, whatever. We're 35 and 36. And at this stage in our life, we realize that entitlement is the thing we can't stand the most.
Definitely.
And I said this at the end of a podcast I just got off. I said, if you are humble and grateful and you have work ethic and you have a sincere desire to learn and grow towards your potential to achieve your goals and dreams, you're going to love us. You're going to love Kev. You're going to love NLU. You're going to love me. It's going to be great. Let's do it. Come on over. DM me. If you are entitled or arrogant on any level and you want huge rewards for minimal effort, you're going to fucking hate us. We're the ultimate tryhards. I didn't say that on the show. Don't worry. But I basically said don't reach out under any circumstance. And the reason why is that you're going to waste your time and ours. We just figured out through massive pain who we work well with and who we don't. We're not for everybody. And this boundary thing, to bring it back to boundaries, if everyone can assess the positives and negatives of every relationship in their life, some of the negatives just aren't worth it. They're just not worth it.
What do you mean? Like what's an example?
Well, let's use cigarettes are a good example. There is a benefit to smoking cigarettes. You breathe deeply. You look wicked cool. I'm kidding.
Cool
you don't
as hell.
anymore.
Well, you used to. Yeah, you got a leather jacket on smoking a cig.
Yeah, you used to look really cool. Used to get the girls. I'm joking. No, but ultimately there is a benefit to everything we do. There's a benefit to eating pizza. I had pizza last night. Awesome. Okay. Huge benefit. Love it. Great. It's awesome. Downside. Tons of calories. Looking chubby today. Is what it is. Is it worth it? So if anyone out there has a relationship in their life, and I'm thinking back to past relationships, in hindsight, this version of me, it wasn't worth it. It wasn't. So many things I tolerated weren't worth it. I should have set boundaries. I should have left that person earlier. I really wasted a lot of time and effort on a relationship that was not for me. And that's what I'm hoping that everyone listening can do, is have the courage to sail away, or have the courage to speak your truth, or have the courage to set a boundary. Because some people, I'm thinking of a past partner of mine that I think is not great. It was not a good relationship. I don't think she's that good of a person. I'm not a fan. That's my truth. And I have other partners that were actually wonderful. If anything, I wish I treated them better. So it's not just a salty thing. It's And I'm sure there's other people that maybe don't mind that person as much as I do, but it all comes down to standards. It all comes down to what you tolerate from yourself and others. It all comes down to self-worth and what you believe that you deserve. And if you grow up in an environment that's very abusive, you unconsciously will believe that you deserve to be treated like shit and disrespected, because it's the Richter scale. We did an episode on conscious couples about the Richter scale. If you're born in California and there's a level 2 earthquake out of 10, you might not even notice. If that happens in Massachusetts, people are losing their minds. It's just happened
recently. There was a little one, and everybody in the local Facebook was like, "Whoa, you feel that shit?" Like in California, it would be like nobody would even bat an eye.
Just like down south, it apparently snowed in Texas and South Carolina. Emilia's family has a place in South Carolina, and it snowed down there. And for us in New England, that wouldn't even have been on the radar. It wouldn't even have made the news. It was just a little flurry. Yeah. But down there, everyone was losing their mind because that's not what they're used to. And so when you grow up in an environment where you're used to level 10 earthquakes, you're not going to notice a 4. And so you might be in a terrible relationship or a terrible friendship and not notice it because you're so used to being treated like shit. And in the past, I would go back and talk to younger Alan and say, dude, I know this feels okay. It's not okay. And Emilia really helped me with that.
I think the hard part about all this is you have to figure out what's worth setting boundaries for, too.
Yeah.
There are certain conversations with certain people that it's not worth me having. It's just not worth it. It's not worth, maybe I don't see them often enough, or it's just not worth it. It depends. It depends on what it is. This situation involved more people than just me. Super helpful for me to get out of my comfort zone to set a boundary, for sure. I wanted to do it from a place of self-worth. I thought it would help my self-worth, and I definitely feel like it did. Now, again, is it a drastic increase? No, but I felt different after. It's like, okay, that's a muscle that I haven't flexed. There's something to that. So that was something. So I just think, but it has to be worth it. If it's not worth it to set the boundary, and I don't know how you figure out whether or not it's worth it. Because in the short run, it probably doesn't feel like it is. But in the long run, the intention is it will be. I think the only way to really know that is just to practice it.
Well, the question becomes, if there's someone you love who is being treated the way you're being treated, would you stick up for them?
I think that's a really
good frame of, if someone treated Emilia the way that I'm being treated, I would stick up for her immediately. So why don't I believe I'm worth that? I think that's a good...
I do too. And maybe that's the extra necessity is, okay, maybe right now you're struggling. Let's say, let's use an example. We'll use a concrete example. Let's say, hypothetically, you work at a company and this is a tough one because there's layers to it, but you work from home and your boss is always having you or asking you to do things while you're off the clock. And that's not in your contract. That's not what you signed up for, and you shouldn't be doing it.
You're being mistreated, ultimately. You're being mistreated.
Yeah. Instead of you just saying, well, it's not really fair to me, and that's not really what I signed up for, and that's not in the contract. What about the fact that it's taking away from your family? What about the fact that you're not as present of a partner? What about the fact that you're not as present of a parent? That might be a little extra necessity. Now, here's the dangerous part of that. You also might do something reckless and lose your freaking job.
Yeah.
And then that affects your family even more, at least in this example. So it's like, how do we set boundaries without overswinging? How do we do the thing that is not natural to us without having to have the ego or the self-deprecation to do it? And I think that's why it's so hard, because you want to do it from a centered place. What are you fucking laughing about?
I just had this moment of one of the reasons why I think some people struggle with boundaries is because they don't want to be entitled.
100%.
So I just had this image pop into my head of I reach out to Kev and, hey man, I really need help on this, and this for NLU. And it's, well, it is 11 o'clock on a Saturday, get fucked, and it's like, well, you are a 50-50 business partner. Like at what point is that? At what point is that entitled, right? And there's consequences to every boundary. Hello, 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 NLU listener. Thank you, as always, for listening to Next Level University. Real quick, I just want to jump in and let you know about the Next Level Dreamliner. This is a journal that I use every single day. Achieve your dreams 90 days at a time. It breaks down your dreams into goals, milestones, and daily habits. We hope you enjoy it. The link will be in the show notes. The consequence to telling me to get fucked is, well, good luck with our working relationship. And why am I supposed to be working when Kev's not? And again, anyone out there who's entitled, if your boss comes to you and asks you to do something and you really value your job and your paycheck, you better not tell him or her to get fucked.
Yeah,
and if you do, and again, obviously you wouldn't say get fucked, but you need to be very humble in this, because you want to, okay, your landlord's not available. Well, do you have another place available? Because
that's why I think
this
it's
is why
hard.
it's so important. Yeah,
because
you
usually
gotta put
I think
yourself in a position of being
power.
the chess player instead of the chess piece.
Yeah, I think what tends to happen is it crosses a certain chasm, and then you're ready to set the boundary, but you're ready to set it from a place of anger, not balance. And I think that's a dangerous. I mean, how many times has that happened in a relationship? That's like one of the biggest ruptures in relationships. Is something happens and you don't set a boundary. You're like, yeah, maybe next time. And then it happens, and it happens, and it happens, and it happens. And then eventually you set such a hard, toxic boundary that it breaks the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you have to put up plywood and screw it and put an anvil behind it and then put concrete up, then build another wall. When in the beginning, the boundary would have just been like, hey, can we pause for a second? Those are two drastically different conversations. So yeah, I think you're probably potentially going to experience potential regret.
Yeah, when you're feeling high and you're feeling real good, and you come in hot, and you're like, you know what?
Good.
You know what? I have been wanting to tell you this for years, and then the next day you're like alone. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Please don't leave. It is. It's very hard to find 5. We call it the drive to 5, 0 to 10. 0 is you have no boundaries whatsoever, no self-worth. You're being walked on constantly. 10 is you're entitled and telling your boss to get effed when they're paying your bills. Yep. Like, you need to stay at 5. It's very important to stay at 5. And 5's hard to find when you grow up in 0 or in 10, right? I mean, let's be honest. There are some people with straight up spoiled brat syndrome.
For sure.
It's insane to me. Well, it wasn't quite toasted as well as I wanted. I can't even with, like, you're lucky to have food. What happened to you? Like, something happened to you. This is not okay. And it makes sense, right? If I grew up in an environment where there's the entitlement was beaten out of me, metaphorically, maybe literally, and I'm with someone else who just multi-millions without any effort, and it never was going to work. And I think that we weren't at 5. And so what Kevin and I wanted to share, we got to go here because I got to be on a call, but
oh shit,
ultimately
I would have just
kept
kept
going. That means
going.
we're in flow.
Yeah, I would have just kept going.
There was 3 things we wanted to make sure that we brought across. There was a really awesome quote that we heard at a meetup in Arizona.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm forgetting the name. Lauren,
yes. Lauren
Johnson, yeah. She had a quote. She said, "The people who get the most upset when you set a boundary are the very people who are benefiting from you not having a boundary." Okay. What were the other 2?
I don't know. You were saying this when we got off before. I don't know. The one that I wanted to say was a boundary is a spotlight. A boundary literally highlights somebody's truth. So if I set a boundary with Alan and then Alan is a dick to me, it's like, wait, that's your true colors? That's who you are when you don't get your way with me?
I think so. I
do too.
Yeah, I think that's who someone really is. You
You
got to see who someone is when they're down and out.
This is one of the ways when you don't get what the person doesn't get what they want from you, and you set a boundary and they change up completely. I mean, that speaks to Lauren's quote. Like, they benefited from you not having boundaries, and now that you don't have that boundary anymore, they're not about it. But I think one of the reasons we run from them is because that could potentially shift the reality of a relationship. If I set a boundary and Alan is completely different than he's been for the last 8 years, I'm going to start questioning things. Like,
Yeah, as you should.
Is he taking advantage of me? Am I going to have to kill him in his sleep? Like, a lot of questions are gonna come up. I don't know what the third one was. I don't
the third one I found it. It's Emilia said it on a Conscious Couples podcast episode.
Yes.
And I chat GPT'd boundaries. There's a lot here. We can't do this right now.
No.
But she said a boundary is honoring a core value. So if I have a core value of fitness, I remember one time we were driving to the gym, and after the gym, I have my pre and post gym routine is very important to me. And she made a phone call in the car to her family on the way to the gym. And I said, sweetheart, I understand, no big deal, but I just want you to know it's kind of a ritualized routine for me. I try to get in the zone before the gym, and I'd really appreciate it if we weren't talking to my future in-laws right before I get into like kill the weights mode. Because for me, that's going to war mode, and I don't want that to leak on my future in-laws. And she was like, yeah, totally. Awesome. And then a couple nights later, she ended up doing it again out of habit. And then I was like, I think that's a boundary for me. Go ahead.
I was going to say, what do you listen to on your way to the gym?
Dude, anything that's extremely intense. You ever seen the movie Dune?
Never.
There's a playlist. There's some intense drums and some hardcore shit that we listen to.
I listen to
audiobooks.
depends.
It depends on the mood. Sometimes it's rap. Sometimes it's rock. I love heavy rock. A little bit of screamo sometimes. A little bit of screamo every now and then.
I got some shit for you. I've been turned on to some new stuff. I got you.
New playlist called 2024 Bangers. And by new, I mean obviously a month and a half old since it's not 2025 bangers.
A little bit better than the Alan's Melancholy playlist that we
still got it.
frequented on road trips.
You know it.
I listen to audiobooks on the way to the gym. Believe that?
Nice.
Yeah.
My gym is 2 minutes away. So
you want to play the comparison game? My gym is 4 minutes away. So fuck you. How about that? Talk to me about how far away your gym. All right, what's your quick takeaway before we get out of here?
Make sure you're at 5 with this. Are you entitled spoiled brat syndrome? Or are you really low self-worth, used to being mistreated, so you're just tolerating being treated unjustly all the time?
Okay, I love that. Mine would be, I think, like many things, boundaries get easier as you do them. And I think of it like there's 2 ways to do it. There's dip your toe in the cold water, realize how cold it is, and say, F that, I'm not doing it. Or there's jump in the pool. I think sometimes when it comes to boundaries, you have to feel the fear and do it anyway. Don't be toxic. Don't overswing. But when it completes the cycle of I set a boundary, the person responded or didn't, and now that cycle's closed, I think it feels pretty good.
I have to say one last thing.
Oh my goodness. Go ahead.
One of my clients, he's a YouTuber, and he's like, dude, I'm getting some hate on my YouTube. I was like, here we go. Can we take a look? We pull up share screen. Boom, boom, boom. He's doing 3 shorts a day. Crushing. 2 long forms.
It's a great way to get hate right there.
4 long forms a month, 1 long form a week, and 3 shorts a day. Sicko. Love it. You know who you are. We pull it up, and he's talking about the 80-20 principle, and he's talking about building muscle. And someone comments, what muscle?
Ooh.
Yeah, tough one.
That is a burn.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Shit.
And I'm saying, dude, you got to say something. Because this person is low on the self. He needs to build his self-worth and his courage. I said, you don't have to attack back, but you got to say something. And he's like, well, what would 5 be? And I said, very mature, period. Or that seems like this comment is obviously a great use of your time. You got to say something. You don't have to throw stones back, but you have to shield bump it a little bit. And the old me wouldn't have. The old me would have been like, I'll show you one day. I'm just going to work harder. Yeah. Maybe I'll do 6 shorts a day.
I'll see you in 20 years.
Yeah. And that's just a mistake. So at the end of the day, and by the way, he comments, they comment back on his comment. Now the algorithm pushes it. He's more likely to win.
That's fair.
It's all good, baby. The point is just don't be disrespected, but also disrespecting other people for disrespecting you. An eye for an eye, we all go blind. So don't overswing, but make sure you shield bump a little bit.
I think that's a good perspective. I would say maybe throw the same rock back in a different way. Maybe. If you're going to give me 10, I might give you 6. I'm going to use the same rock, just different. I'm going to deploy it differently. That's kind of my thought.
What
Last
would you
thing
have said?
I'm jacked. So I would be like, anytime, if you want to DM me, you can come to the gym with me. Anytime, I'll put you through a workout.
Kev's ready to throw in.
Yeah. No, not that.
Yeah, no.
Shit, you know me.
Here's my address.
I hate negative comments. I can't stand it. Really? But if it was, I hate it. So real quick before we go, we have clients on YouTube that I think they have like 70, as of today, like 71,000 subscribers. And I have access to all the back end stuff. What I've been doing is I've been going through their comments to see what it's like and how much hate they get. It's helping me tremendously.
Nice.
Yeah, it's helping me tremendously.
For me, I can't imagine wasting my time sending hate comments. What a giant waste of time.
But to your point, I think you do it's not about getting even. It's not about healing the ego.
No,
it's about self-worth.
Honoring yourself. Yeah, it's standing
up.
You got to stand
myself.
up for yourself. Yeah, you got to.
And that's
why. But that's why I said, oh, this comment seems like a great use of your time.
Yeah,
it's kind of a little dig of what are you wasting? Oh, then don't watch.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, I'm sure you're jacked. Anything that's probably a little overswing, but it's very important to do it in a mature way.
I like the let me know when your YouTube channel is live so I can check out your content. I like that. It's like, all right, you want to bitch about my stuff, go make your own and make it better if you can do that. I like that. But I never say that because I'm a fuking coward. All right.
By the way, what are the chances that person saying what muscle is jacked?
Slim to none.
Yeah.
Slim to none.
Yeah. Compliments only flow down. Hate only flows up. That's a really important thing to understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Put that on a bumper
only,
sticker.
Most of the time, yeah.
That right there is a bumper sticker. Worthy.
We should do an episode on
it. We need to talk about money at some point.
Transform pain into
health, wealth, life, and love.
Drive.
If it's up to me, we talk about
Let's talk about money.
We got to talk about money at some point.
I'm game.
I know you are. We got to figure out exactly what. I'm really going through it internally. I want to talk about a bunch of different stuff. This episode is a little bit longer, which is good. I thought we were going to be 20 minutes. We're working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes to obviously improve the show always and forever. So just want everybody to know that. All right. Next Level Live 2025, April 5th, 2025. All-day event, totally virtual. Tickets are only $47. You get access to the replay. There's going to be breakout sessions. It's going to be awesome. We promise. If you are looking for a deeper dive into next levelness, when that means health, wealth, life, and love, if you have a business, a lot of different things Alan can help you with. He still has coaching slots available, so we'll have his link in the show notes. And if you're a podcaster who is looking to take your podcast to the next level, we produce 57 podcasts, including this one and Alan and Emilia's and a bunch of other ones. So if you're looking for help in that realm, just reach out. I'm always happy to answer any questions you have about podcasting. I'm not going to say, hey, you need to pay me for these answers. I want to add value. So follow us on social media, all that happy jazz. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. NLU, we don't have fans. We have family. We'll talk to you all tomorrow.
Stick up for yourself. Next Level Nation.